it's going to be about decentralized and blockchain and, you know, this smart contract, which creates trustless relationship and transparency with wallet tokens and DeFi. This is from an engineering standpoint. And to an engineer or people in the tech, I would say you have to learn how to code smart contract. That's it, plain and simple. No matter what area you are in engineering or product, you have to learn to do smart contract. The second way that you're going to be hearing about Web3 is around finance. So cryptocurrency, investing, making money, NFTs, and it's a whole new scarcity applied to digital creation. NFT, right? It's really, we're doing the same thing that we have in our current economy applied to the digital world.
I want to say one thing quick, because I think it helped me understand this. So right now, digital is basically created a printing press. So on the internet, you can basically take something in digital format and just replicate it. So you dilute any ownership. When you're talking about tokens, you actually can't do that anymore because you can attribute ownership, and then there's ability for someone to know what's going on with their thing, right? Their intellectual property that they created.
Right.
That's a fundamental change.
And it has a lot of benefit for artists who were given a new chance to showcase their art and actually to make money, not just one time as you buy an NFT, but if you resell this NFT, the owner, the creator gets a percentage. So it's only a more fair way of benefiting from someone else's creation. But if you're in marketing and sales, I would say to you, you have to experiment with community tokens and the metaverse. The metaverse to me is going to be the next Zoom, because what happens in the metaverse, and right now we have this bulky headset that really makes you look bad and it's sweaty, but the benefit of the metaverse is that it tricks your brain in thinking that you're close by, because you can touch the other person's avatar. And what happens when you trick your mind about this closeness, in physical space, you have more empathy. And having more empathy is really what we need in order to be more compassionate and true to one another. Versus Zoom, it's me in front of my computer. I intellectually know that there's a group of people, but there's no real empathy tricked by my mind. If you're an entrepreneur, I would say you have to work with someone excited about Web3. And one of the things is that today, because Web3 is so new and it means multiple things to different people, you're going to find people who don't think that it's stupid and it's never going to happen. For those who are over 50, remember in the 1990s, with the internet, having an email address. Some people are like, no one is going to go on a computer and have an email address. And well, it's the same. We're talking the same enormous society change, which we can't see and we don't really know the impact. And then the last thing I would say for everyone else, spend $10 on 10 cryptocurrency, $100. That's it. Why? Because out of those 10 crypto, there might be one or two that will be the next Apple or Amazon, HP at the time, Cisco, right? I can't tell you who's going to be the Cisco of the crypto, but there's going to be one. So those are the things that I would say.
I'd like to bring Randy up here. So for people who don't know Randy, he has been on boards and an advisor to a lot of different startups, and he's innovated as an entrepreneur in publishing big corporations like Disney, I think it was, and AAA and a bunch of different places. So I know you've got a lot to say. So if we could just bring Randy up on stage, you can have your comment or question.
Hey, Larry, and you and I have talked about some of these things independently, but I wanted to just bring to attention two things, and talking, Virginie, about your your perception of scarcity and sort of the democratization of sharing wealth. And this is, of course, something that runs very contrary to most of us capitalists and all. But at the end of the day, it's really about what Larry was trying, I think, to say is a tide that lifts all boats. There is no lack of money out there. We can all have as much money as we want. And I realize that in this inflationary environment, that sounds very contrarian. But at the end of the day, having everybody in the system making more money is good for the wealthy and for the people at the bottom. And if we begin to build a system that doesn't have a consciousness that if I give something to somebody else, I take something away from me, because in fact, the more we put in at the bottom, it is the tide that lifts all boats. All the companies do better. We're seeing it to some extent right now. When we put all of that stimulus in at the bottom, the whole economy took off.
Yeah.
Whereas we have been for years cutting taxes, on the high end, and we have all these individuals who pay much less tax than is, in a sense, their fair share compared to middle America, so to speak. So this concept of scarcity is one that we really have to let go of. There isn't a finite amount of money. We can, there's as much money as we want out there, and we all can share in that. And if we find ways to share that more broadly and think with a consciousness of again, democratizing the value that we're creating when we build an organization, we're going to find those companies tend to be much more successful. If you think about a lot of the companies that have become very successful, there's this dichotomy of people that these open office spaces, everybody's equal, there's no real structure, and companies like Facebook and Google and that all grew up in that environment. And then all of a sudden they became sort of the kingmakers in these different organizations, and a lot of the culture changed. I saw it happen at Microsoft years ago. I used to do a lot of business with Microsoft, and it went from this we're all part of this one big thing to this consciousness of everybody's trying to get ahead of somebody else. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to empower and better your life. The point is that if along the way it's causing other people to suffer, it's probably not going to work very well in the end. And it's somebody once said, all dictators fail. And, right. and we have lots of proof of that. And hopefully there's one over in Russia that will fail soon. But in any case, without getting political, I want to encourage people to, there's a gentleman named Scott Smith who has a foundation called the Foundation for a Better Economy. He created a concept called the Financial Freedom Act and wrote a book called The Emerging Kingdom. I'll put it in the chat. And it's an amazing way of looking at taxation by using transactions instead of having income tax, payroll taxes. That has a way of really leveling the playing field. And I encourage people to take a look at it. It would be a great stimulus to our economy. Anyway, I'm done.
I like what you're saying, Jerome. I think a lot of people agree with you that the more money you open to the bottom, to the lower class or individuals, will benefit the whole. And I don't think it's really, we have a money issue because, since 1971, I think money was decoupled from gold. And so now the value of money is no longer relevant. And banks are actually printing money every time you go to a bank for a loan. I think the real deep challenge, the elephant in the room that no one talks about, is this belief of control. Money is a way to control, but control is an illusion. And if anyone doubts that they are in control, I would invite them for just a few seconds when they're by themselves to stop talking and try to see if the next thoughts in their mind comes from them. Who creates that thought in your mind, in your head? And you'll see when you stop thinking, there's a blanks. The next thought in your mind doesn't come from you. Mm-hmm. And so this belief of cause and effect, which leads to, if I do this, then this happens, therefore I'm in control. This cause and effect is false. There's so many more things that comes into play that we have no awareness. But we've been told the big lie that we're in control.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love Buddhism because it talks about this and the Eightfold Path. I think, right work, right thought, all of that stuff is right in there. So if anybody really wants to get a hold of this, it's a good place to go. And I would also listen to Naval Ravikant's tweet stream, which has been recorded. He talks a lot about this kind of stuff too. So we've got about 5 more minutes, and then I want to get to the breakouts for 10 minutes. I think first, before Sajad comes up, can you talk a little bit about your community? And I know you're piloting this now, how to join, kind of what you get if you join.
Right. So REAP Community challenges, it's reapcommunity.co. And we're challenging the idea that entrepreneurship or solopreneurship has to be a lonely experience. We also believe that in this world of abundance, there are untapped opportunities when we look at the world through the lens and the worldview of cryptocurrency, tokens, you name it. So the purpose of this REAP community is to bring entrepreneurs, small cohorts, working together. There's a piece of technology that helps individual stay focused and be productive, because that's one side of the puzzle, one piece of the puzzle. But there's the weekly stand-up where we ask people, okay, what do you want to do? What are the barriers that prevents you from doing? And it's extremely powerful, as you can see it in your own group. When you hear other people going through the same challenge, you have aha moments. And the third piece in the REAP community, or this executive fractional that are serving each individual entrepreneur. And right now it's mostly digital marketer, we're 3, but we're going to expand to everyone in this as a fractional. And the entrepreneurs can become repost, because I think putting ourselves into a box of solopreneur versus entrepreneur versus employee is very limited. One of the elements of Web3 is the radical shift of how you are going to hire people because of remote working and fractional work. Especially the new generation, they don't want to come back to the office and be told what to do. So it's okay, how do you create a culture with a team that is diverse and away from each other? And so community is one big element, but also fractional and remote work. So we're just helping entrepreneurs. We have no idea where it's going to go. We're also rewarding entrepreneurs with tokens, because after all, we all have skills that should be valued and paid for. Why would this entrepreneur path be a bleeding one and not a comfortable and easy one? And then the other organization that I'm part of is called the Yin Leadership Network. This is for women. It's a 3 months short kind of membership where we help women gain clarity on their true desire, to help them rewrite their social media profile, voice their truth. And I think there's still, unfortunately, a lot of work for women to be at peace with who we are and, not be submissive anymore.
So let's bring Sajad up for a couple of minutes. I want to make sure we have enough time for the 10-minute breakout. And then Virginie, if you could put the links to these things in the chat, then people can sign up. So, hey, Sajad.
Hey, bro. That was a lot.
Yeah, always.
That's like 10 hours, like 10 hours worth of information with 100 topics. That's crazy. All right, so a quick comment and then a question. On the having enough thing, I think if people focus on water, food, clothes, and shelter, and not saying that facetiously, then you have enough. I mean, your needs are met, and everything above that is, a want, not a need. And then here's a question. This goes back to something you said in the beginning. Women are expected in business to be, and I'm paraphrasing potentially, the nurturers as opposed to there to give ideas. So how does a woman keep the nurturing side, but have create the professional identity while keeping the nurturing part?
There's so many answers possible. I will give you my own answer that may not fit with other people. But the best way that I found unlearning this conditioned behavior is to forget that I was a woman. I'm just a human being. And I actually, I have a podcast where we bring people around a question. to have different perspective. And there was one on masculinity and femininity. It's not easier for men, trust me, because you guys, the men have been told that, oh, you're the protector, you're the saver, and so you have to combat, and so, and the woman is the opposite. What's interesting is that when you stop thinking of yourself as, again, one of those boxes, as a man or a woman, you become a human. And in you yourself, you have masculinity and femininity. And so now I try to think of, there are qualities as in my femininity that I can use to do different things. Same thing for my masculinity. So those are tools more than identity. Because as soon as you have an identity, you become a hero. And a hero needs a villain. And as I mentioned earlier, if in the beginning of my career, I had been told, or I had realized that I was a visionary, I wouldn't have been one of the few women in technology.
That's really well said. So let's break down into small groups. Maybe we'll do a couple people in a room, 2-3 people in a room. And my suggestion is, just to keep, people always want to keep this organized, or they just show up and they're like, what are we supposed to do? So I put some organization in it, but don't follow it if you don't want to. So start by alpha order, first name first. So if your name's an A, you go, and then go down the order. And I think the questions are really simple. It's like, ask the other person, other people, or whoever goes, it's like, what are you focused on right now? Why? What are you trying to accomplish? And what barriers are you facing as you do that? And then other people listen to you and get an idea of what's really going on with you, if you're being honest about it. And then maybe they have ideas and can help you. The other thing I'd suggest is do a screenshot of everybody who's in this room and reach out and meet one-on-one. I do that in pretty much every event that I go to. It's the easiest way, just quickly, to get a ton of meetings with good people. So why don't we break this out, and then we're going to convene back again for another 30 minutes. Anybody wants to stay and keep this conversation going, because we can talk about this stuff all day long. So I'm glad we got another 30 minutes for anybody who could stay.
Larry, do we let them choose?
Oh yeah, you want to do that? It might take too long, but we can try it.
Okay.
I don't know. So Zoom allows us to give people a choice, because what's happened a lot is we do this and then we're putting people in rooms that know each other extremely well, as opposed to meeting people they don't know yet. Virginie, thank you again for doing this. It was fantastic.